Hi, my name is Aya. You're watching Aya Reads, and I went to Italy last week. And I figured let's do a Italy romance reading vlog. Basically, before I went to Italy, I was looking up romances that either took place in Italy or had an Italian hero or heroine in some way. The plan was to read 3 books. I will end up reading 2 books. So I really hope you enjoyed this video. I'm also going to insert some clips of my time in Italy. So basically I went with 4 of my friends to Italy and we went to Lake Garda in Italy. And first of all, Italy is one of my favorite places to visit. It's my favorite country to visit because it's usually, the weather is usually always nice. It's beautiful. The food is beautiful. And the language is just gorgeous in my opinion. I actually already read a book for this vlog, which was One Hot Italian Summer. So I actually read that book while in Italy. I actually started it on the plane to Italy and finished it on the plane back to the Netherlands. I stayed in Italy for 2 full days. We went on Friday and we got there around Friday evening, and then we got back on Monday early afternoon. And then I'm also planning on reading Lord of Scoundrels because the hero is, I think he's half Italian, but anyway, he uses Italian sentences while having sex with his heroine, which say less. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Definitely let me know if you've been to Italy and which city you've been to. Also leave me a pasta or pizza emoji while you're in the comments. And I hope you enjoyed this vlog. Yeah, let's cue to the vlog and all the Italy clips. So I'm in Italy now, and we have such a cute apartment we're staying in. I'll give you a little bit of a tour later, but we're staying with 5 people, so it's very fun, me and 4 friends. Anyway, I'm here to give you an update on the book I'm reading. The plan is to read Italian books while I'm in Italy, and the first book I actually started yesterday at home, and then I read a good chunk of it on the plane, and it's One Hot Italian Summer. And I'm enjoying it. It's not my favorite. I think it's gonna end up being a 4-star, but you follow this girl, Grace, I think. Yeah. And she is an author and she used to write with her best friend and they were a duo, kind of like Christina Lauren. But then she died, her friend, and now she's grieving and she hasn't written in a while. So her agent, who has a house in Tuscany, Italy, makes her a deal saying that she can stay there for a month as long as she's able to write a little bit while she's there. She ends up taking her up on her offer and she goes. But on the first day, she's like sunbathing in the nude, and then all of a sudden a man shows up and a child, and she's mortified, and that scene made me laugh out loud so much. Turns out that her agent has an ex-husband and a son that she didn't tell her about, and they were supposed to be on vacation themselves, but they returned early, and it's actually his house in Italy. So she's debating, should I stay or should I go? And he's sculptor, so also an artist, and he tells her that and he tells her that if she wants to stay, that she definitely can. So she ends up staying, but she finds him very attractive and he finds her attractive as well. It's going to be their romance. He's a single dad and he has a son, a 10-year-old son who's very into science, and he's very cute as well. So like I said, I'm enjoying it, but I find that I'm not really connecting with the characters, nor am I really connecting with their romance. I feel that there's a disconnect in the writing there, probably because when you do get chapters from
him, but it's few and far in between. It's mostly her story. You really get a lot of her chapters. I don't know, the way it's written makes it feel a little bit like she's talking to the reader when really it's her talking to herself. But I don't know, it feels, I don't know, for some reason I just feel like I'm not really connecting to it. So that's why so far it feels like a 4. But while I'm reading it, I am enjoying it. I just don't think these characters will stand the test of time for me. I do really love all the Italian that's spoken in the book, and also how much they eat together and them going around the city exploring. So I'm about a little bit over 100 pages of the way through. I think 120. So I'm a good portion of the way through. And like I said, I am enjoying it. But so far, it's just not my favorite. So I guess I'll update you. I don't know if it's still going to be in Italy, but hopefully I'll have a lot of shots for you as well. But yeah, I'm enjoying my time. So today's the first day we're here. We arrived on Friday in the evening, and we're staying Saturday, Sunday, and then Monday in the morning we're already leaving. So we're not staying a long time. I think this book will be the only book I will read, I will actually finish, but maybe I'll extend this vlog when I'm at home too, but we'll see. You'll know for sure, obviously, if this sees the light of day. But yeah, right now it's sunny and very warm weather. So okay, so I'm only just on page 160, but my friends are not here, so I figured let's give you an update because I did solidify my thoughts a little bit more yesterday evening while I was reading. But before I even get to that, I do have to say, like, we're mostly just hanging out a lot, seeing the beautiful Lake Garda. I'm pretty sure it's the English term. If not, I'll give the proper translation here. Yeah, so we've mostly been doing stuff. It's beautiful weather today, so I think we're gonna be out today the whole day as well. And I'm just obviously just hanging out with my friends. So obviously reading is not the main priority, which is fine. Obviously I'm on vacation with my friends, but I do think I'll finish this book tomorrow for sure. But anyway, let me just give you my thoughts. I'm not really enjoying this book. For so far, it feels like a 3-star, and that's probably generous, which makes me sad because a lot of people I really trust and love their reviews have really loved it. But to me, first of all, I'm not jiving with the writing style. I don't know why. Usually the writing style is not something I really notice. But in this book, I don't know, I think it's first person present tense. It feels like she's talking directly to the reader, and it's taking me out of the story and making me not really enjoy it. Like I said, I normally don't notice the writing style. Like if I just finished the book and you're telling me, okay, what kind of writing style was it, I cannot tell you, oh, this was second person, or I cannot tell you this was third person past tense, stuff like that. I just don't notice these things. I mean, if I really pay attention, I do, but I just don't really care. Whereas in this book, I don't know, something about the writing style is just distracting me. Also, this main character is so insecure, and I don't understand why, because, and that is my main criticism, everything about this book feels so very surface level. I don't know anything about Grace, and I don't know anything about Claudio. The only thing I know is that they think each other are really hot, and that is it. Like, she's really struggling with insecurities, and I think they stem, or at least she says it stems from her childhood. She never addresses what exactly happened there. Also, the whole grief, like obviously her best friend died. We only get to hear about that in relation to her writing her story. We never really see, like, she never really talks about it. She never really thinks about her friend. All she thinks about is Claudio, and the only time her friend is mentioned is if she's talking about how she's having issues writing now. That's basically the only time her friend gets mentioned. These characters don't really feel real to me. They feel really surface level. Same goes for Claudio. Like, I don't know anything. We don't know what happened. I mean, I'm still obviously only halfway through. Also, he's not really that intriguing as a main character, except for the fact that he's hot, but I mean, plenty of hot guys out there. His son, he's fine, but also not like a character I'm gonna remember a whole lot. So yeah, all those things just make me not really care that much about the romance and about anything really. So that's a bummer. But like I said in my update before this one, while I mean, I do have to say right now there are a couple moments where I am really rolling my eyes because some of the lines are really cringy. Let me see if I have some. Before I can complete my sentence, he squats down low, like impressively low, and then in parentheses, those squats are beasts. Like, what? I don't know. I just, maybe because I'm noticing it, I find it really cringy. I feel like she's very immature. That's, I think, surface level and immature, I think, are the two ways I can describe her. Okay, next is I can't really see the stage that far since we're all in a level field and like everyone is taller than me. I don't know, and then in parentheses again, I don't know why the tall people always stand in front of me at shows. I must have some strange gravitational pull. Like, that is how I read her. The words she uses, like all the time, stuff like that. I don't know, it just, I'm not really vibing. But I'm like 43% of the way through. I will finish it, and I guess I'll give you my updates. Today, we're gonna go to, I believe, 2 different cities at the lake, if we have time. And if not, then for sure 1. And then tomorrow, we have to get up really early to go back to the Netherlands again. Our plane leaves at 9 o'clock, I'm pretty sure. And it's about an hour drive. So I think we'll leave here around like 7 o'clock maybe. No, maybe earlier, maybe 6 o'clock. I don't know, we'll see. Also, this little friend joined the party. So I need to go and get ready, do my makeup, stuff like that. I'm going to be wearing a really pretty sundress, like the main character in this book who constantly wears sundresses. So I think I'll show you what I'm wearing. I'm very happy. I wish we could stay longer. I wish we could have stayed a day longer because in total we ended up having 2 full days, but that's okay. Italy doesn't go anywhere. Italy is one of my favorite countries to visit. It's so, like, the weather is always so nice. The people here are very nice. The food obviously is very delicious. The places, everything is just beautiful in Italy, in my opinion. You have these beautiful lakes, and this is one of them, of course. Let me actually look up what the actual name is in Italian and in English. Okay, yeah, so the English, I was right. The English translation is Lake Garda, and in Italian, it's Lago di Garda. Beautiful. I have shown you some clips of the beautiful lake, so very beautiful. It's very, like, yesterday was it was sunny, but it was also cloudy sometimes too. I believe today we're gonna have a beautiful, beautiful sunny day. So very happy about that. I think this might actually be my last actual talking update in Italy, because right now is the only time my friends are not here. Since we're leaving really early tomorrow, we're just gonna be busy packing and stuff like that. I think this is gonna be my last update actually here, and the next one will be in the Netherlands, or at my home in the Netherlands. So the usual same old, same old. But yeah, I am having a very nice time.
Okay, so as you can see, I am back home. We arrived pretty early, at like 12 o'clock today. So I've been back. I actually finished One Hot Italian Summer on the plane. Like we literally were landing and I was finishing it. So perfect. I read that book entirely from the plane going to Italy until we landed back in the Netherlands. So I only read one book in Italy, but for this vlog, I'm going to be reading two. So the other book I'll just read in the Netherlands, which is fine. It keeps me in the Italian mood. So I ended up giving it a 2-star, which I honestly didn't think that I would. I've been hearing so many good things about Karina Halle. A lot of people really love her books. There are a bunch of her books on my TBR. And I do have to say, I don't think I've written her off yet. I want to read a couple more books by her. Maybe this was just a one-off, because I do have to say, before I get into the things I didn't like, there were some things I did really enjoy, which is why this book got a 2-star as opposed to a 1-star. First of all, I'm sorry, but I'm a shallow bitch. The hot guy, the hot Italian guy on the cover deserves at least 1 star. This man is very hot. This is exactly how I was picturing Claudio, so that was great. What I also really loved was the meet cute. That was hilarious. I laughed out loud while reading it. It was so funny. I really loved that whole scene. I think she did that perfectly. And what I also really loved was the setting. Like, I think she did a wonderful job with the Italian setting, all the descriptions of Italy, of the Italian food they were eating, all the alcohol they were consuming, and also like the Italian language and her learning the language. All that I really appreciated. Like, I know that I was in Italy while I was reading it, but I do truly think that if you weren't actually in Italy, you would feel like you were, because of the way she wrote the setting. So all the things I didn't like, I pretty sure I mentioned a lot of it in my updates, but like overall, I think I can equate it to the writing style, because that had an effect on everything. I think I told you this in an update, but if not, both characters, it wasn't just the heroine who did it, the hero did it as well. They were recapping things that we literally saw a couple chapters ago. It's like, yeah, I know what happened. I literally saw it. You don't need to tell me that. Also, both of them were very wishy-washy and contradictory. Well, he was very both of them. Like, one chapter they would be saying like, no, we, like, one of them would be saying, no, we really cannot do that. And then the next chapter they were fucking each other. Like, make up your mind. And it was like, it happened, like, if that happens once, okay, fine. But it kept happening constantly. And like Claudio, like, for example, like one thing that made him very contradictory was him saying like, I have a very possessive heart, or a very obsessive heart. We never really saw him be that obsessive, apart from him being obsessive over his art, because then the next chapter he would say, I've never been in love before. Well, then how the fuck do you know that you have a possessive heart or obsessive heart? Like, that made no sense to me. So all those things combined, like the writing style and the characters that I couldn't connect to, made me not connect to their romance. And therefore it made their romance not believable. Also, I need to discuss the elephant in the room, and that is the kid here. This kid was just a cardboard cutout that the author used when it suited her plot. The only reason this man was a single dad, and the only reason this kid was even in the story, is so the main characters could get together. Because the only reason that Jana, her agent, had access to this house was because she shared a son with Claudio. Because if this was just an ex-wife, she would have no access to a house like this. So like I said, the only reason why she would still be in contact with her ex-husband and still have access to the house is because they share a child. And that is the only reason why this child is even a thing in the book, because this man was a horrible father, honestly. Like, he didn't think about his son at all. And I think if this was single point of view, I probably wouldn't have noticed it. But since it was dual point of view, when we were in Claudio's head, all he thought about was his art or fucking Grace. And that was it. He wasn't thinking about his son at all. We never saw them spend any time together whatsoever. And also, if you really think about it, what he did during the first few weeks that Grace was there was disgraceful, honestly, because they were supposed to be on vacation for 4 weeks. That is the only reason why Jana invited Grace to stay over at her house. The only reason they came back was because Vonnie's friend broke his leg, so then Claudio and Vonnie had to come back home. So this kid got screwed out of a vacation and out of spending quality time with his dad because his father went right back to working, and when he wasn't working, he was fucking Grace or thinking about Grace or doing things for Grace. In fact, this kid kept getting shipped off to wherever so that Claudio and Grace could be together. And that just makes it even sadder because this was supposed to be 4 weeks of father and son spending time together. And instead, Vonnie is constantly alone, constantly on the couch reading, and constantly being shipped off to Claudio's sister or to Vianney's friend, and never really spending any quality time with his dad. And if they did spend quality time together, we never really saw it. Yeah, I've read plenty of single dad romances in my life, and this just was not a good single dad romance, in my opinion. And this kid just didn't feel like a real character to me. Like, he had like a hobby, but we never really interacted that much with the kid. Like, Grace sometimes had like a one-liner here, or like two sentences about him. She never bonded with him, and Claudio also never really bonded with him. So he was constantly being used as a plot device because at one point he's like, my dad can never remarry. Okay, so then that is gonna get used for them being a forbidden romance and never really being together because Vianney would never approve, stuff like that. It just, that got annoying really fast, and it made Claudio very unlikable because if you're gonna be a single dad, then I want you to be a good one and not a sucky one. And I just cannot get over, like, I'm sure obviously dads have to work, I get that, but he was not supposed to work. He was supposed to be on vacation for 4 weeks. And the funny thing is, he did have time, he just preferred to spend it with Grace. And one thing that really bothered me was, so there's a rule in the house where, so he's a sculptor, so in his sculpting room, if the door is open, then people can enter, but if the door is locked, then people cannot enter. And by people, he mainly is talking about Vonnie or Vianney, I don't know. Obviously, he's talking about his son, obviously. But what does Claudio do? So at one point, Grace becomes his muse, which was another like annoying thing that I wasn't even gonna mention. He invites her to his studio, and then they lock the door, and then yeah, I guess he spends a portion of it sculpting, but then at least half of it is spent fucking her. Which, I mean, yes, I guess it's a romance and whatever, but I mean, if we're really looking at it, so he chooses at that point to lock the door, which means probably Vianney is out there not sleeping, probably, because if he was sleeping, if it was bedtime, he would not feel the need to lock the door, which means there's quality time he could spend with his son, but instead he closes the door, so Vianney thinks that he's working, and instead of working, he's actually fucking Grace. Like, I don't know, maybe I'm just nitpicky because there were just some things that annoyed me, and yes, that sometimes happens with me, where if I'm just not meshing with the characters, or the characters get on my nerves, I just nitpick other things that are annoying. But I feel like this was glaringly obvious to me about this kid, and I could not look away from it. And obviously it's a romance. Obviously we don't want to see like half of the story of him spending time with his son when he could have spent it with Grace. I get that. But this was just a mismatch. Like, this kid did not get any attention, like, barely got any attention, constantly was spending, like, he constantly kept saying that his summer was boring, when his dad was supposed to just, like, they were supposed to be spending quality time together. That's just, like, my 2 cents. It's a 2-star, unfortunately. And I do have to say, so I've only read one other book set in Italy, which is called The Italian by T.L. Swan, and I also gave that one 2 stars. So far, it's not boding well for me. An Italian book. So far, I've given both Italian books I read, or books set in Italy, or romances set in Italy, 2 stars. I do have to say, Italy is one of my is my favorite country to visit. It's my favorite vacation spot. I love Italy so much. So it kind of bums me out that the romance is set in Italy so far have not been working for me. The next book I'm gonna read, I don't think it's gonna be set in Italy, but it's gonna have a half Italian hero, and apparently he uses Italian words while they're having sex, which say less, and it's Lord of Scoundrels. So I'm very excited about that. I guess I'll see you once I made a dent in Lord of Scoundrels.
So I'm at my parents' house and I wanted to give you an update on Lord of Scoundrels because I am about 230 pages in and I am really, really loving this book, I do have to say. Okay, so let me just tell you what this book is about. So you follow Jessica and the Marquis of Dane, and he is a scoundrel. He's half English, half Italian. His mother left him when he was 10 years or 8 years old, and she never took him with her. And his dad was an abusive asshole. So it felt like hell for him. So he's a half Italian and he has like a very big nose. He has dark features. And people called him like awful names, told him that he was like the devil, Beelzebub, stuff like that. Which Beelzebub just always makes me laugh. But anyway, he's a very emotionally repressed, insecure, sad, tortured hero, which those are my buzzwords. And she is beautiful, gorgeous. She's very smart. She has a brother who is very dumb. Her brother has been caught up in the Marquess of Dane, meaning he has become one of his friends. Like he's going into debt because he keeps doing whatever the Marquess of Dane does, like gambling, drinking, stuff like that. The problem is obviously with the gambling thing, Dane is not losing money, whereas her brother really is. So she goes to Paris and tries to save her brother from the Marquess of Dane. But of course, he finds her very intriguing and they constantly are bickering. They have amazing banter. He thinks that women are like the lesser species and she constantly keeps him on his toes. They're constantly bickering, arguing, but they both find each other very attractive. He thinks he's the ugliest man in the world. So he doesn't believe her when she is saying that she finds him attractive or doing things that would make it seem like she finds him attractive. He constantly thinks that she is up to something or trying to trick him. He couldn't believe that somebody as beautiful as her would want somebody as ugly as him. And then along the way, he kind of thinks that it's a great idea to seduce her, also in like their game. And while he's seducing her, he's speaking Italian to her, which that to me is so romantic. Like I'm just swooning over every time he speaks Italian to her, and he's speaking a lot of Italian to her. I think there's more Italian in this book than there was in One Hot Italian Summer. And then of course there's a situation where she's compromised and at first he's not intent to marry her and then eventually he does. So he's never been with a gentle bred lady. So he's afraid that he'll hurt her and stuff like that during sex. So now I'm actually at the part where they finally did it. And I'm really liking this book. I do have to say I was struggling with it at the beginning because I read a lot of historical romances, but usually I don't really have issues with the writing. This book I kind of did because there were a lot of words where I was like, what in God's name does that mean? So I constantly had to look up words, which took me out of the story. But now I'm really enjoying it. I'm really loving their dynamics. Like I said, he's the type of hero that I love, the tortured, emotionally repressed hero. And of course, you guys know I really love Beauty and the Beast retellings. And he constantly keeps saying that he's the beast, she's the beauty. I love their interactions together. I love that she doesn't take anything lying down and he doesn't either. So are they fighting or are they flirting kind of thing? So yeah, I'm enjoying it, like I said. Hopefully I can finish it today or at least tomorrow, but I do have to say I have a pretty busy work week, so I might just update you or give you my final thoughts when I get back. So right now it is Tuesday. I have to sleep somewhere else for work, so I'm back home on Friday. In those days where I'm not at home, I'm constantly with people, so I cannot really do an update then either. Like I said, I'm really loving it. I can definitely see why a lot of people love it. I do have to say, I think once I reread this book, I think I might love it even more on reread. But right now, like I said, I'm really loving it. I can see why it stood the test of time and why it's so beloved. Obviously, some things are dated because this book was written in 1995. So the word whore is constantly mentioned and his views on women I don't think somebody writing historical romances today would write that in their story, but I don't know. I just feel like since I feel so sorry for him, I'm kind of overlooking that, which I mean, you really shouldn't, but I mean, obviously this was written, like, this is set in a completely different time. You can really see that he does respect her, so I do like that aspect. So yeah, like I said, you'll just see in the next clip what my final thoughts are on this book.
So I'm here to give you my final thoughts on Lord of Scoundrels and end this vlog. So Lord of Scoundrels, I really enjoyed. I was debating giving it a 5-star or 4.5 stars. I ended up giving it a 4.5 stars, and it was mainly because of what I discussed in the first part of my review. It's mainly because of the writing and all the difficult words. The fact that I had to look up so many words took me out of the story. This is not my first historical romance, and yes, even though English is not my first language, I have read plenty of English books in my life. I rarely have to look up words, so the fact that I had to look up so many words really took me out of the story. So it is a 4.5. I do think on reread, this might be 5 stars because I really loved it. First of all, I loved that he talked Italian to her, but I also loved this heroine. She was such an amazing heroine. Like, I think I fell in love with her. She was funny, she was feisty, she had great banter, she was intelligent. Like, she really stood well on her own and she didn't take anybody's shit, least of all the Marquess of Dane. If I didn't love her already, there's a plot line in here where he has a bastard son, and the way she handled that made me fall in love with her even more. Like, that really solidified my love for her. Like, she's such a great character. Him, I also obviously really loved. Like, he is the type of emotionally repressed hero, tortured hero that I tend to enjoy. Yes, his views on women at the beginning are not the best, but I do love how you see character development from him. And yes, I think the fact that this book is so beloved is a big part because of the heroine. I don't think this would have been as beloved if not for her. So I do think that she's the shining star of this book, but I did really enjoy him as well. I felt so sorry for him. Like, he really went through a lot, and I do think that he needed somebody like Jessica because I loved how intelligent and intuitive she was. Like, first of all, she didn't take things lying down, but she did know when to push through his boundaries when he needed them. And in those moments, she set aside her own pride to help him. I definitely appreciated that because if she wasn't that perceptive, this could have ended in disaster and just a toxic mess. And because of the way she was, that didn't happen. I love how he was set out to ruin her, and at the end of the day, he was ruined by her. Like, I truly believe this man cannot function if she's not in his life. The way she loved him through and through, when that is all he wanted and all he needed in life. Yeah, the story of his mom leaving him and him thinking he doesn't deserve love because of that. The way that she showed him that he does deserve that, and the way she selflessly gave and loved him even though she knew that he wasn't able to return her feelings yet, made me really love this beautiful book. I do understand why this book stood the test of time. Like I said, some things do age this book, but not enough not to enjoy it almost 30 years later. And I do think, like I said, I do think the reason this stands the test of time is because of this heroine. She was such a strong character and a very memorable character. And I do think that this book will probably be popular for years and years to come. I love their banter together. I love her intelligence. And I really loved it. Like, I would highly recommend it. And I'm very glad that I love this because obviously I didn't love the first book I read for this vlog. This does not take place in Italy, by the way. It takes place mostly in Paris and then a little bit in England. All the Italian that is spoken in this book, I really love that. So yeah, I think that is it. Definitely let me know in the comments below if you've read any of these books and what your thoughts were. Also, I would really love to know what is your favorite place to visit. And if it's Italy, definitely let me know where in Italy is your favorite. Like, what part of Italy is your favorite to visit? I think mine still is Rome. I really loved visiting Rome. But I also really loved, like, the place we went to now with the lakes and stuff. Like, Italy has some beautiful lakes. Leave all your thoughts in the comments below and leave me an Italian flag emoji if you want to say that you were here but don't want to leave a comment. I hope you enjoyed this video. Definitely let me know by leaving a like if you did, and thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.